Am I the asshole for refusing to let my sister's family live in my house after they sold theirs for a dream vacation? Yeah, they sold their house for a vacation.
I mean, I guess do what you want with your money, but that's kind of...
No, you don't want to be saying this.
Okay, all right. Never mind.
So I, 32 male, own a modest 3-bedroom house that I've been paying off for the last 10 years. It's nothing fancy, but it's mine, and I'm proud of it. My sister, 29 female, and her husband, 31 male, are the typical free-spirited types. They've always talked about quitting the rat race. What year is it? You know what I mean? Shit. Living life to the fullest, all that. Well, a few months ago, they finally did it. They sold their house during a booming market, thinking the profit would fund a year-long break to travel.
That's a lot. That's a lot. That's crazy. Okay.
They believed they could stretch the money by traveling cheaply, staying in hostels or Airbnbs.
That's not cheap.
Hostels are.
Hostels
Airbnbs
are,
are not.
Yeah, I was thinking like best case scenario, you're probably spending $1,000 a week.
Yeah, and getting by with occasional odd jobs. At first, they stayed in nicer places and ate out a lot, thinking they had plenty of cushion. But within 2 months, they were out of money.
How much did they... Wait, they made like what? They said...
They didn't say.
They didn't say how much money it was?
Yeah.
I don't know. I thought I heard 500,000, but like, I guess that's like median.
I don't know. I'm like 100, 200K.
Even if it's 200K in 2 months is crazy.
I know.
Okay.
I mean, I could probably do that, honestly.
I easily could do that.
Yeah. They underestimated how quickly expenses would pile up, especially with 2 young kids, 7 female and 5 male, to feed and care for.
Oh god, I hope this isn't real. Holy shit, dude.
Yeah, this was like the first I was like, this guy's writing this silly. And then once it got to that part, I was like, no, they're pieces of shit.
Yeah, that's...
Why would you do that to your kids, man?
Jesus.
Yeah,
fuck,
that's
man.
wild. Now that their funds are drained, they decided to stop full-time travel, but don't want to settle down yet. Instead, they asked to live with me rent-free for the next 10 months while they quote-unquote figure things out. They say they'll still try to make some occasional trips if they find super cheap deals.
So they're still gonna try? Are you fucking kidding me?
But for the most part, they want to stay at my house. I told them no, my house isn't big enough, I don't want the disruption, and I certainly don't think it's fair for them to live off me because their plan failed. I offered to help them find an affordable rental or even cover part of their expenses for a couple of months so they could get back on their feet.
Yeah, that's a fair compromise, yeah.
That is, yeah, really nice, but that wasn't enough. My sister blew up at me, calling me selfish.
Ow.
I'm me? Okay.
Yeah.
And accusing me of being jealous of their quote-unquote adventurous lifestyle. Honey, you're homeless. And you think I'm jealous of you. It sucks. I don't think anybody should be homeless.
No, I don't think so either.
You could be the biggest piece of shit ever.
No.
I still don't think you should be homeless. I think that's fucked up.
No, yeah.
I think certain things in life should be free, and that's it was some of my most radical thinking.
Yeah.
Like, water, food, housing should all be free.
Yeah.
Clothing. Yeah. Like, we should all have that shit. Universal basic income. I'm down for it.
Yes.
I think that's great. I do think in this society, like, there is like a fuck around and find out kind of shit.
There is a limit.
To make it worse, my parents are siding with her, saying that family should help family and that I'm being too rigid. The thing is, my parents live in a small apartment and can't take in my sister's family, which is probably why they're pushing it on me. They say I don't understand the quote-unquote value of experiences and that I should be more supportive. Some of our mutual friends are also saying I should be more understanding, but I think it's completely unreasonable to expect me to house their whole family for nearly a year just because they didn't plan properly. Am I the asshole?
Am I the asshole to divorce my husband and leave him with the kid after finding out I'm not biologically the mom?
How is that possible?
Yeah, how did that...
That's exactly what I thought.
Where were you?
Right, was this...
I cannot believe my life has come to this. All I ever do is go out of my way to help others, but on the few occasions I need help, nobody ever comes through for me. I, 36 female, have been with my husband, 35 male, for a total of almost 10 years. Married for 6. We had what I thought was my child by surrogate over 2 years ago because after 4 years of trying to conceive with no success despite medical interventions, it turns out that I am unable to carry a child to term. I've always wanted to be a mom. Devastated is an understatement regarding how I felt when I found out I had a medical condition that would make it nearly impossible to carry a baby to term. It was even more upsetting when I had to get a major surgery to remove my uterine growths with the hope to increase fertility, and complications during surgery warranted a partial hysterectomy involving removal of my uterus only. I still had my ovaries, so we started looking into the cost of a surrogate. It is really expensive. My close friend since college, who had already had 2 kids of her own, offered to serve as the surrogate for us to cut down on costs. After 2 disappointing IVF sessions that did not result in pregnancy, she became pregnant on the 3rd try and carried a boy to term for us. I was so happy and busy after the birth. Between being a mom and returning to work after a 4-week parental leave, I didn't even notice any warning signs. I should have noticed the red flags and warning signs early on, but I did not because I was so exhausted from working so much at my stressful job and 2 part-time jobs to cover most of the bills and anticipated medical and legal costs associated with a friend becoming our surrogate. I was the primary breadwinner. My friend and my husband started talking more, and I would sometimes come home from my weekend job to find her already hanging out at our house when my husband was there. I chalked it up as innocuous, and it's good for her to get to know my husband better since she was in the process of hopefully carrying our child for us. I was grateful to have someone helping us have a child. I also thought it was weird that our son has brown eyes when both of us have blue. Then I found out that while it is uncommon, it's possible sometimes due to many genes controlling eye color. Recently, it all came to head when I took our son to the doctor's appointment. They did a metabolic panel and blood tests which showed that he had a blood type that is not biologically possible to have with me as his mother.
Oh.
He's B+, I'm A+, and husband is O+. Immediately, I started wondering if it was the fertility clinic's fault and that they'd messed up and implanted a wrong embryo. I started lining up lawyer consultations to possibly sue the clinic and looked into having a DNA parentage test done. The test results showed that I'm not the mother, but my husband is still the father. I was heartbroken and angrier than ever. I talked to lawyers about medical malpractice in the fertility clinic that we used, and then my husband confessed that he slept with my friend, our surrogate, on a few different occasions during our struggle to have her get pregnant with our embryos. This means what I thought was our son conceived by IVF and carried with a surrogate isn't my son at all, and was in fact conceived the old-fashioned way, which I can't ever do. Livid and absolutely broken at the same time doesn't even begin to describe how I feel. I've been breaking down into crying spells over and over again about this. He claims he didn't even think pregnancy could result because he pulled out, and he had always assumed that he was the reason for our early struggles to conceive, both before my hysterectomy and during the IVF insemination process with this friend. I felt an immediate triple betrayal from what was supposed to be my husband, my friend, and now knowing my child isn't even mine. I had such white-hot rage and delirium. I immediately left home and stayed at a hotel for almost a week before asking my parents to let me stay at home for a while. I admit I left our son with him. I'm now filing divorce because he cheated and betrayed me in the worst way possible. I also cut off my friendship with my friend, the surrogate, and feel afraid to trust anyone else now. I've seen a divorce lawyer to see about giving up my legal rights to this kid so I don't have to face such betrayal or owe child support. My husband and friend/surrogate admit they were wrong and keep apologizing, but also called me immature and heartless to just give up on my son like that. My parents also say I can't just give up on a kid that I went through so many legal and medical hoops to have. When I told them I refused to stay in a cheater marriage and I'd rather adopt someday with a better and more trustworthy partner, they also told me that I was wrong and that maintaining my parental rights isn't much different than if I adopted outright. They say it isn't blood that makes a family. They are all about me divorcing my cheater husband, but keep telling me that I'm making a mistake giving up my parental rights. Some of my other friends agree with what I'm doing. A few admitted that they weren't big enough to swallow pride and care for an affair baby, or to see daily reminders of my friend/surrogate's betrayal every time they look at her son. I just want a clean break and a fresh start. I'm also looking at relocating several states away. Am I the asshole to give up my parental rights in the divorce because a kid I paid a lot of money to have, born by surrogacy, isn't biologically mine at all, but the surrogates?
My ex-sister-in-law was a so this is what I did. So my ex-sister-in-law was always trying to updo everybody else when it came to Christmas. Borderline started to hate Christmas just because of her. I think the most stupid part about this whole thing was that they had a lot of money and they knew the rest of the family wasn't as rich as they were, but still she didn't care. She wasn't like the type of person that, oh, I have so much money and you guys don't, so I'm gonna buy you all expensive gifts and you kind of don't really have to buy me anything. But no, she was the type to actually make a list of expensive gifts that she wanted. She would give it to everybody in the family, and she wouldn't accept any other gifts other than the ones that were on that list. She asked me to buy her a very expensive scarf from this local boutique. It was a pretty expensive scarf, and I really couldn't afford it at the time. So what I did, actually was really sweet now that I'm thinking about this. When I searched everywhere for the same fabric, and I basically found an amazing copy of it. Nobody would be able to tell the difference between the two scarves except for her. As soon as she opened the scarf, she immediately looked at the label. She huffed and she threw it away, literally to the floor. No thank you, no nothing, on to the next gift. So it was pretty uncomfortable for everybody. But the next day rolls around and I go on Facebook and I see that she posted a picture of what she called a crap pile of gifts that she got for Christmas. And my scarf was there in between the slippers and the socks that people so awfully gifted her for Christmas. One of the worst parts was that a lot of the people that were commenting on that post were her friends. And they were commenting on how cheap the person that had bought that scarf was. Some of the people were defending, you know, the whole like, oh, you know, what matters is Christmas, like the whole spirit of family and stuff. The gifts don't really matter. And then the people that were commenting this were getting hated on by her entitled friends and by herself too. I didn't say anything for that whole year. I pretend I didn't even see the Facebook post. And for that year, I mean, when I would see her, I just acted super nice, as always. Okay, after seeing this Facebook post, I can't wait for next Christmas. I can't wait to gift you something that you'll love. We're finally at the time where I get to give her my gift. So I hand her an envelope. She was super excited because one of the things that she had asked on that infamous list was for some gift cards from this very expensive jewelry store. So when I handed her the envelope, she probably thought, oh, this is what I asked for. She finally did what she needed to do, which is give me my so well-deserved gift. I don't know if you're familiar with what this is, but I basically gifted her a $50 Oxfam voucher to provide a foreign village with manure for the crops, to pay tribute to what she had posted the year before. And I wrote, at least this year, when you post on your Facebook that you were gifted a pile of crap, you won't be wrong. She wasn't aware that I had seen the Facebook post, because like I said, for about a year, I pretended everything was okay. So this is how I got revenge on my ex nightmare of a sister-in-law. Oh, I forgot to say what she had gifted us the year of the scarf. So she gifted us their 2 kids' school picture in this very expensive picture frame. But like, who cares? They're your kids. They're not my kids. She thought that that was an amazing gift. Oh, great. I want your kids up on my wall in this very expensive frame holder. Great. Thank you so much.
I gave someone decaf for 5 months. Once I worked in a restaurant as a senior barista and we had a new chef join. He was a complete asshole. He spoke to the front of house and KPs like trash because apparently he used to work on some big yacht as a private chef. He was late 40s and would always hit on any young girl who was between 16 and 20, and he got so bad that he started cornering them in the kitchen, etc., and trying to flirt.
Beat him up.
Myself and others brought it up to management, but they didn't care, so I thought the only way I could get back at him is by making his 12-hour shift miserable by always giving him decaf, and I told the other baristas to do the same. He'd have 4 coffees and still be yawning, and I'd think, yeah, you prick. I gave someone decaf for 5 months. Once I worked in a restaurant as a senior barista and we had a new chef join. He was a complete asshole. He spoke to the front of house and KPs like trash because apparently he used to work on some big yacht as a private chef. He was late 40s and would always hit on any young girl who was between 16 and 20, and he got so bad that he started cornering them in the kitchen, etc., and trying to flirt.
Beat him up.
Myself and others brought it up to management, but they didn't care, so I thought the only way I could get back at him is by making his 12-hour shift miserable by always giving him decaf, and I told the other baristas to do the same. He'd have 4 coffees and still be yawning, and I'd think, yeah, you prick.